Hello. I just wanted to speak about something that I find really important when it comes to Neville's work. To really understand his work, you have to think in terms of imagination being the only reality. If you can think in this term, which is a type of feeling, then you really will understand what he is saying. But it has to be taken as fact. And it is an assumption, it's a leap you're going to have to take if you want to understand what he is saying. But a perfect example of what I mean is the concept of everyone is you pushed out. This concept doesn't quite make sense to a lot of people because they're trying to think in terms of this outer person. And they're saying, well, I'm not my parent, and I'm not my siblings, and I'm not my friends. So they sort of disbelieve this. But if we just take it as far as, if we go to the world within ourselves, and then we apply this concept, does it make sense? That the people within me are me pushed out. That the people within my imagination actually are reflecting me, and they are obeying me. They actually are me pushed out. It's a fact. They're my reflection, they're my mirror. And just from that alone, you can start to see how everyone you pushed out just makes perfect sense when you take the idea that imagination is the reality. And Neville, speaking from from that premise, he constantly said consciousness is the one and only reality. And that is a leap of faith to believe that your mind is reality actually can be credited reality. You actually can credit reality to things, and the way you do that is you can imagine a scene, and at first the scene might not feel real to you, but notice the wording. It doesn't feel real. Well, you can make it feel real. You just provided a feeling of reality. You keep feeling as if it's reality. You just keep assuming that it is, that you are experiencing this person, this version of yourself. But what I really wanted to stress on, that I find so important, is really the value of acceptance of your current reality in order to change the reality. I'm a person who truly believes one must accept the position they're in order to change it. And if one wants to change their type of state that they're in order for one to occupy a new state, in order to move effortlessly between states, you have to accept that you're in a state right now. You have to accept that you are expressing your state of mind. Your mind is just simply expressing itself as a state. You might not like what it's expressing, but it's expressing it regardless. If you can accept it from this point, then I really think you're on your way to changing it. But you have to fully embrace that it's just the state you're in. Then you can fully embrace that the person you want to be is just a state as well. If you can really separate yourself from the I am and the state itself, from the person and the state, you'll be able to do this for other people as well. Because what you do to yourself, you do to others. The way you view yourself, you're going to view other people that way. People will become less scary if you're afraid of people, because you're going to realize they're just in a state. And states express themselves. So if you're if you feel safe, if you feel at ease, comfortable, feel whatever about yourself, that will express. But you have to feel that you are it now. See, the name is I am. It's not I will be. I am is the cause of everything that goes on in your inner world. And your inner experience, every feeling, every thought, is caused by you. I would hope you just assume that to be the case in the mind and watch it actually be the case. You'll start to see that really nobody's speaking their own words in me. Nobody's really angry. Nobody is really harming me. It's just myself. It's my reflection. And there's a lot of ease and relaxation in knowing that your world is reflecting you, your inner world. I'm just speaking about the inner world. I'm speaking from the premise that imagination is reality. Okay? Now, if you can see that the state you're in right now and the state you want, let's say you imagine something you want to be, you have to see yourself as simply a state as well. But both of these states come from imagination. If you can accept that, then you can use imagination to change the state. So really the mantra is this: they or it is not the problem. They or it is not the solution. I am the problem, and I am the solution. I'm speaking of this in terms of the inner reality. Really, nobody within you is the problem, and the objects that you're trying to obtain aren't the problem either. It's I am the problem, and I am the solution. I truly believe I think a lot of us, including myself, have jumped into this hoping that I am is the solution. Yet we don't really credit it fully with the problem. And I noticed as much as you credit I am the problem, that you credit that as the solution. So if you want to fully make I am the solution, you have to make I am to be the problem fully. You have to fully take responsibility for everything within you in order to change everything within you. Because if it's under someone else's control, you just created two powers, and then you're going to have resistance within you. You're going to think there's another power within you who's stopping you, and there really isn't. But that's just, that could have just been a habit you've developed. Many times we don't do things we want. We do things we're used to. It might not be something if you're doing things you don't want to do in your mind, you're most likely just repeating things that you're used to. And it's actually easy to change if you know you're just in a state. It's difficult. What's challenging is if you're in a state for so long, what tends to happen is that the person identifies themselves with the state as if it's a permanent part of their identity. When in reality, it's just a state. It's just as you can imagine yourself being the way you want to be. That's a state too. The only reason why it feels unreal to you is because you're not crediting it with reality the way you're crediting it, this one with reality. And there's something really important that Neville once said. He said that you can awake inside of dreams and become conscious inside of them. And you can start acting inside of these when you're sleeping. And then you'll wake up and realize it was all a dream. I've had this experience many times. But the way he made me view it was different. He said, okay, if you can see that this is the imagination speaking to you, that it's trying to show you something, and ask yourself what it's trying to show you, you'll see how obvious it is. And what it showed me was that I was in a world just like this, experiencing myself totally different, and it was just as solidly real as this world. And then I woke up, and I realized it was just a dream. And my imagination is trying to show me that this reality is just a dream as well. It's the same thing. There's no difference. And it takes an assumption to realize if you start to assume that this life is a dream, truly start to feel that, you will get a relief and an ease that what you see isn't necessarily permanent. It's just a dream. And you will awake. You know how you awake from a dream and you feel relief? Like, wow, it was just a dream. That's sort of how you have to view life. Or I should say, that is how I view it personally. And I've noticed that whatever assumptions free me in my body, whatever assumptions provide me really, really high amounts of ecstasy, I tend to just assume. I just notice that it makes me a better person. It makes me be the way I would desire to be. It makes it so effortless for me to imagine what I want. If I go with opening and freeing my body, it's very, very easy. And in my opinion, the first type of manifestation is in the body. If you were to imagine a scene and enter the scene and feel that scene, it's reality. And then you walk across that bridge of incidents to the end goal, which is the scene you imagined, what you would find is that the first act of change in this outer reality was in the body, because the body is a part of this outer reality. That's why Neville says you can't do anything. You have to just imagine and feel, and then you'll walk across the bridge of incidents. But the first change of reality, right when you imagine something new, the first change that happens is in the body. It's the feeling in the body. Neville would say he would imagine until he has a certain motor change. So if he was imagining somebody talking to him and telling him something wonderful about himself, he would keep imagining it until he smiles. Naturally, the way he would naturally react as if that's happening to him right now. And he would lose himself in it. So, by him losing himself in these imaginal scenes, he becomes it. And then the inevitable happens is that he becomes in his world. But in order for Neville to truly accept that new scene, he has to accept that he's simply just in a state as well right now. That the undesirable is just a state. He accepted that fully. In imagination, it truly is just a state because it can always be changed. So if you want to change, you have to accept that you are the problem within yourself. And the mantra I do give is I'll imagine, let's say I imagine certain people in my life, and I will just repeat, they are not the problem. I am the problem and I am the solution. And a lot of us look to people for solutions. We look to them thinking that they're going to give us what we want. But I am is the solution. But I am is also the problem. So I really think that if you want to change, you have to accept fully that you're just in a state right now. You have to just assume that. And then you'll be able to assume a new state. Maybe you've been in the state for a very long time. Maybe you felt like you're a prisoner to it. It doesn't mean you are. Because in imagination, anything can be changed. So, I really think taking full responsibility and accepting the fact that you are the solution and the problem, that you are just in a state, is crucial to changing. I think many times we try to force ourselves upon the solution, not seeing what the real problem is. So take a step back in your imagination and just observe it. Ask yourself, what do these thoughts say about me? Why am I having these thoughts? There's so many thoughts I could have. Why these specifically? And what do they mean to me? What do they say about me specifically? What am I feeling about myself? Is it something that I want to feel, or is it something I think I have to feel by society or by my partner? What is it that I want? Remember, this is your imagination. It's nobody else's. So anybody who's in control in here, it should be you. Don't create another God within you. Don't start worshiping other things or feel like you're powerless, because there is no other. Nothing can have power unless you give it in your mind. This is just something I felt was very important to share.